Okay, Mark, thank you for that. And I'm so happy that you're involved with the local children and teaching them for so many years, and they learn so much about other people's food cultures.
Right. Let me just add one more thing about the school garden. So in this area, we're in a suburban area. We don't really have, thank you, we don't really have many large farms like they do in other parts of the country. So children assume that the food is grown in the back of the grocery store or somewhere where they've never been to.
Yes.
So it's just a great way to actually bring it in close to home, hands-on, and just get the children to, if it's an activity, it's a healthy activity for them. And I feel if they grow it, they're going to eat it. Even though children many times won't try certain vegetables, but if they are in the process of germinating and taking care of the plants, and then when they harvest it, they're much more apt to eat them.
Absolutely, yeah, well put. So another of the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, is about reduction of poverty. And we're trying to understand how agriculture, especially urban agriculture, and what you do, hydroponics or microgreens, do you see it reducing poverty in the sense that it can create jobs? To what extent? Is it livable wages? Just trying to understand all that.
Right. So urban agriculture has tremendous benefits for the future. One, space. It doesn't require a lot of space if you grow the way we do, which I think is the future of farming. But it's very efficient use of space, which will lower the cost of growing. And as far as hiring, well, obviously you're always going to need manpower to some degree to tend to the plants.
So when you need manpower, you're saying, for example, something like you do, you have a person to help you. I know you have family,
right,
but do you employ somebody?
We do.
And
we employ people for different reasons. We'll employ people to help us at the farmers markets, and then we'll also employ people to handle things where we grow, like the irrigation system, to maintain that, or when we're germinating. It's very time consuming, in certain aspects of the
And
process.
is that something they do as like a part-time thing, or is like a full-time job?
Right now we're small, so we do it as part-time.
Okay, so you employ them as part-time.
Correct.
But do you see that as something that they could do as a like a for a livable, like a
Absolutely.
live
Absolutely.
job?
Yeah.
That they can
So I do encourage. I've had interns and part-time employees, and I always encourage them to pursue this as a career if possible, if they're interested.
Okay.
It's certainly something that they can make a living at down the road.
Okay. So is there financial support and other kinds of support from the government, and what kind of support's available to people who want to get into this?
So again, that's going to vary per state, per county. The federal government does offer loans and grants. It's a tedious process, again. And the county offers some limited help, not necessarily financial, but they offer some help as far as just keeping people aware of local farms and where products are grown, and they encourage people to utilize
So
locally
people
sourced
can,
products.
where can they go to find this information?
On the county website.
County website has
Yes,
all that.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. One of the few last questions I had, this has been great, is I've been reading about edible walls.
Yeah.
So I was just curious personally, what are these?
Yeah. So an edible wall is basically a structure that you are planting. Let's use lettuce as an example. You're planting the lettuce on a structure that is just vertical, and the water is filtered through the system where the roots will just, the water will drip down and the roots will grab a hold of the water.
Okay.
It's just a different method of growing.
So it's not something that you can eat off of, like it's not edible wall, like I
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. It's the way you grow it.
You're growing a product on the wall structure. It's just instead of horizontal
husk.
or instead of racks like what I use,
Okay.
they just grow it on a wall.
Okay.
And they'll use that for non-edible as well. They'll use it for plants, flowers, things like that.
Okay. And you did mention some time back when we met about the supplements you use for broccoli. That's the only thing you said needed supplements, right? Did you mention that?
No,
Or you
we don't
said
use any
You
supplements.
don't use at all?
No,
So
no.
there's no supplement at all?
Nothing.
Okay. So as investment, if somebody wanted to start this as some kind of a career, what would be this coconut husk, this water, and
Yeah.
there's these. Is this for transportation? These white
Yeah, these are for the
holders?
farmers market.
Farmers
Yeah.
market. Okay. And then a transportation, right, to the
Yeah.
farmers markets.
Correct.
Is that?
It's I would say it's fairly minimal upfront costs. It's not going to require hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it'll be thousands of dollars because you do need to buy certain equipment, certain lighting, certain obviously seeds and things like that. So it'll be in the thousands, but
Okay.
it won't be in the tens or
Okay.
hundreds of
and
thousands.
if you get
initially.
support from the government or the
Right.
county, then
Right,
it's not too bad.
But there's ongoing expenses as
Okay.
well. So.
Okay. So the one of the main criticisms is that this kind of stuff, which is new and urban, is mostly upper middle class, and it caters to, even though it can and it should cater to a more like a lesser privileged population. It kind of caters, and I know I'm speaking like I'm in Bethesda, so I'm here, but do you see that as an issue, or is just some kind of a it's not always, that's not always the case? Like,
Yeah,
does it cater to a more less privileged?
I don't
population?
really think it's a big factor for us, but again, I'm in a fairly well-to-do community, so I don't really see, certain income variations that are in other parts of the country. But there's costs. The same cost whether I buy the seeds and live in one area or another area. So most of my costs would be fixed and not necessarily highly inflated unless our facility rent was dramatically higher.
True, but then the consumers. So the criticism was not so much as the farmers doing what they're doing, but that they're doing it, but the consumers who it's intended to, in a sense,
Yes.
in urban agriculture,
Right.
The intended consumers don't have access. So let's say urban agriculture or farmer goes into like an inner city area or a poorer area,
Right.
sets up, let's say hydroponic, like microgreens,
Right.
and then maybe sells it in Bethesda.
Yeah.
So is that a general issue, but it's a one-off of issues, or it's not?
It's not really a
not a
big
thing.
issue. As far as affordability, I think they're very affordable because they last much longer.
Yes.
If you were to buy certain produce at the grocery store, you have a very short shelf life for many of their products.
Yes.
So ours tend to last a little bit longer, and that would equate it to
So
better.
people can just buy it. It's not
Yeah,
an issue.
yeah, and you don't have to use it today or
Right,
tomorrow.
right.
You can spread it out over a couple of weeks and use them. And they're so high in nutrition that you can actually get much more benefit from, rather than buying produce at a store you have to eat more.
Okay. So in conclusion, we can say that it's sustainable, it's local, it's healthy, nutritious, and you're also building capacity by teaching students.
Right.
And it kind of reduces poverty in the sense that it gives income. You can generate income with it.
Right. It's not something that is so expensive where
Right.
middle class or lower middle
you with
class.
the green outfit on.
Yeah.
You should be working behind the counter.
I will
So you
do
need
that
to get
maybe.
an outfit like she's got.
Sure. Yes.
It's not. I don't think it's an item that would be more difficult for lower income.
Okay.
people.
Thank you so much, Mark.
My
Really
pleasure.
appreciate your help
My
and,
pleasure.
and working this out. And all the best for the future
Thank you.
of Microgreens.
And best of luck to you all.
Thank you so much.